All right, testing. 1, 2. You listen for it now, please?
Are you live?
Yes.
All right.
You weren't being very nice to me.
I'm trying to tell you to make an announcement.
Testing. 1, 2.
Yeah, now this is. That's really nice. That's on Facebook. Hi, everybody. Sorry about that.
All right. Close. All right. Technical difficulties, obviously. I don't know what happened. Things weren't working out the way I wanted to, but here I am. We're finally live. Welcome to Strange Oddities Podcast, news and announcements. Sorry about all that. Yes, my wife is mean. Sometimes she is. Anyway, sorry about that, guys. Little behind now because of all that, but again, I don't know what happened, but let's move forward. I'm really excited to bring back Strange Oddities Podcast. Have a lot of things to discuss with everybody, the audience, the followers, subscribers of Strange Oddities Podcast. And I'm excited to announce a lot of stuff here. There's a lot of news to go over. I have an upcoming guest list I'm going to share with everybody. I think everybody's going to enjoy the guest list that I have. Wendy, how you doing? I have a chat going, guys. If you have questions or comments, thanks for letting me know about the audio technical difficulties. I appreciate it. If you can come back on, I'm here. Everything's going fine now. So welcome to my little thing here. So no, they don't need to be mean. They need to be nice all the time. So I hope you guys like the new logo design. I finally feel like I have a branded design to fit the needs of all my posters, all the stuff that I put out for Strange Oddities when I advertise. I think the logo is great. I think it fits real nice with the theme. It's simple, direct. I like my little alien guy. I think it's great. So with a couple of suggestions of some friends, change the font on the logo a little bit, but I think it looks really nice. I always appreciate feedback. So if you guys want to let me know how the new logo looks, you got to keep your mean checking, folks. All right. So moving on, guys. What's up, Debbie? I do one of my big announcements I want to make, being that she's here, Debbie Lobel, good friend of ours. Not only does she help Haas Paranormal with our research with our Haunted Objects Museum in Nutley, New Jersey, not only does she help us with research, I had asked her, since she's really into this stuff, she's got a lot of availability. I asked her, would she be kind enough to be a co-producer of Strange Oddities podcast, kind of help me align guests, because I get really cool guests. I get very entertaining guests. I get big guests on the show, but it takes a lot of time. And I don't have a lot of time sometimes to get that involved. So a little help comes a long way. And Debbie is such a great help. Like, she's done so much for us with the Haunted Objects Museum, aside from, that. And she's now also helping me. She's helping me out with Strange Oddities podcast. So I want to welcome Debbie LaBelle to the Strange Oddities podcast family. So she'll be helping me behind the scenes. And, of course, I want to make an announcement that she's, a big help with getting guests and information for guests for me to kind of help us get guests and stuff. So I'm excited to welcome Debbie LaBelle to our Strange Oddities podcast family. That's one of my announcements. Yeah, woo! It's Saturday night, so hopefully I get a few people in here. I know Ron Yacovetti was on here earlier. want to say hello to them. Hello, Low Key and Mr. Yacovetti. Hopefully, you guys come back. I'm here again. So, all right. On to other things. I took a little hiatus from the show. I had to rejuvenate myself. Sometimes when you do things for a long time, you have to take a step back in order to take a giant leap forward. I had to rejuvenate my energy about the show. I mean, the show was growing really fast in a short period of time, and it was kind of getting ahead of myself, so to speak. I was losing myself in the process, and I wasn't enjoying it, and it felt more like a business. And I don't want it to feel like a business. I want to feel like I can have fun with it. Like it's something I really love to do, and I think doing it with that passion is more fun because it should be about loving what you do. And I enjoy interviewing people and learning about all the different things that people bring to the table out in the paranormal community. And the one thing that I'm really trying to get the podcast to do is to be a think outside the box podcast. Let's face it, there's a million podcasts out there. They all do a million things. I don't know how many paranormal podcasts there are out there. There's some really great ones out there. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot you can learn from. They're exciting. They're creative. And I'm not knocking anybody down. But it's hard to think differently what you can offer to the audience. So I want Strange Oddities podcast to be different and stand out more than other podcasts. So in order to get a big following. So I thought, let's just offer the kitchen sink other than just paranormal stuff. So we're going to talk about mysteries. We're going to talk about archaeology, astrology, mythology. We're going to talk about cryptozoology like Bigfoot and lake monsters. There's a lot of weird sightings all over the world with monsters and weird creatures and stuff. And the cryptozoology field has grown tremendously, and we're going to have a lot of that stuff on the show too. I'm good friends with Ken Gerhard, so I hope to have him on the show again soon. I always wanted to do like a cryptozoology roundtable kind of thing, so I might do that in the future. So I'm going to try to do that. What else? So yeah, we're going to talk about like science, history, the paranormal. We're going to talk about hauntings and, just like a lot of different topics. Because when I think paranormal, I just don't think ghosts. I think UFOs. I think, a lot of other things. The world offers a lot of mysterious things out there, and that's what I want to get into. So, shrimp gumbo, shrimp scam. Shush with your shrimp gumbo. So, all right. Guys, what's coming up for Strange Oddities podcast? My first live return show, October 7th. October 7th, I hear my wife laughing in the background. She got me cracking up right now. So, I'm returning live October 7th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, for all your Eastern Time folk. I believe that would be 5 p.m. Pacific Time, and I believe it's 6 or 7 o'clock Central Time. Yeah, you are funny. That's why I love you. So, let's, lost my train of thought. All right, here we go. One thing I want to do before I heavily get into my news and announcements, for those who know me personally, I am very, very patriotic and I love my country. Today is the 20-year remembrance of 9/11, and I want to take a few minutes before I get into the stuff that I want to get into. I want to take a few minutes to recognize the victims of 9/11, the emergency crews, the EMTs, the PD, the fire department, the doctors, the nurses, all the people that fell victim to the 9/11 tragedy. It was a dark day for America, and I'm very patriotic, so I'm very humble when it comes to this stuff, and um, the men and women who served our country who fell, fallen in the 20-year war that we had in Afghanistan after 9/11. Um, your lives did not go in vain. We will never forget anybody. And, don't think for one second that America has ever forgotten 9/11, because that hit home for everybody. And, I just want to say love and light to all you men and women out there who serve our country, and to the fallen and the victims of 9/11. So I want to throw that out there. Thank you for all what you do. And, thank you guys. So from the bottom of my heart, today was a very emotional day because of 9/11. And, I just want to throw that out there. So what's up, Ron? Welcome back, Mr. Yacovetti. How you guys doing? Send my best to your missus, your other half, Miss Low Key, and of course your family, her daughters, and your son Toes. I hope he's doing well. Say hello to him for me. I miss you guys tremendously. So we don't see each other too much, but hopefully we will again soon. All right. So on with the news. Guys, I'm really excited to return live to Strange Oddities podcast. It's been a while since I've been live, so I might be a little rusty. But yeah, I'm making a comeback, and in a big way. I'm excited, and you guys should be excited too, because I'm coming back with bigger guests, more exciting guests, more interesting guests, a really outside the box show with all different topics. And I want to bring what I can bring to the table for the show for you guys, because this is stuff that I'm passionate about, and I can't wait because the guests I have lined up are insane. I can't believe the people I have lined up already. So it's going to be a great first couple of months for the Strange Oddities podcast. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get my itinerary up here so I can show you guys a visual. I actually have a little presentation for you guys. You guys are going to like this. All right. Here we go. All right. So we're going to have this guy. Not a black screen. Oh, not that one. There we go. We're going to have Mark Mirabello from America's Book of Secrets, my first guest for October 7th. All right, 8 p.m. Eastern time, guys. He wrote the book, the Odin Brotherhood. He's been on the hit TV show on History Channel, America's Book of Secrets. He has a lot of slew of other books, but we're going to get into deeply into secret societies, which is another topic I'm really into. I've done a lot of research on America's secret societies, which are pretty interesting as far as people who have started these organizations, some elite people in the world. And we're going to dive into topics like that on the show on October 7th with Mark Mirabello. He's an author. He has a few books that he's published. He's not only been on America's Book of Secrets on the History Channel, but he's also been on the show Ancient Aliens. So I think Aliens took over my show in the beginning, but just like Wendy said there, I don't want to say it, but I think Aliens did it. So. I hope you guys can see what I have on the screen here. Like I said, here's one of his books. I have his bio up here. I'm going to read it off to you guys a little bit. Let's see. All right. So Mark Mirabello is actually a doctor, Dr. Mark Mirabello. I should call him doctor when he's on the show. This has been weeks in the making, so I kind of feel like I know him. That's one of the great things about doing a podcast like this. I get to have really cool conversations privately with them, and I learn a little bit about them, like behind the scenes and what they're like. And it's really awesome to learn, who they are, like outside of what they do, because they're really intriguing people. And when I learn stuff about them in that fashion, it's cool. That's what gets me excited, and that's why I think our interviews on the show are really good, because the interviews become a little more personable, because we've been starting conversations even before the interview even begins. So, all right. So, without further ado, I'm going to give you guys a little brief bio about Dr. Mark Mirabello. Trying to practice his last name so I say it right. So Dr. Mark Mirabello is an author and a professor of history at Shawnee State University in the USA. Has served as a visiting professor of history at Nizhny Novgorod University in Russia. I hope I said that correctly, because I'm not Russian. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, but he served as a professor in Russia. So that's really interesting. Mirabello has appeared on the History Channel, like I was saying, discussing deadly cults in the series called Ancient Alien, and in the America's Book of Secrets TV show. And he has appeared with Professor Noam Chomsky in M.A. Littler's Maverick film on freedom, The Kingdom of Survival. Mirabello was a featured guest for an hour-long interview on afterlife concepts, which he also, I believe, has a book on the afterlife. You guys should check it out. It's a really interesting book. Concepts on Open Minds. The show, hosted by Regina Meredith, appears on the Gaia television network, which they do a whole bunch of stuff on UFOlogy and extraterrestrial. It's like a documentary network about that stuff. He's also been featured on several radio programs, podcasts, including Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie, Coast to Coast AM with Richard Surrett, The Conspiracy Show with Richard Surrett, The Other Side of Midnight with Richard C. Hoagland, which I'm also in the works of actually scheduling Richard C. Hoagland from the podcast The Other Side of Midnight for Strange Oddities podcast. I was in touch with them, and I'm hoping to schedule them as a guest for the show as well. So I'm excited about that. His expertise is the outlaw history on the frontiers and margins of human civilization. He lectures on death and the afterlife concept, alternative religions and cults, secret societies, terrorism and crime, banned books, fascist Europe and Nazi Germany, myths and legends, intellectual history, and other subjects. So that's a brief bio. You can check his website out, Dr. Mark Mirabello. It's markmirabello.com. I will put his info out there on Strange Oddities Facebook page when the show airs, so everybody can read his long bio. If they're interested in getting any of his books, he has information where you can get that. A lot of his books are available on Amazon. Love Amazon because they pretty much have everything there. Let's see. What's going on in the chat? See if anybody is got any questions. Yeah, my wife is drinking peach moonshine tonight, so her humor is going to be a little silly tonight. If Ron could hear her laughing, because I could hear it, she's out on the deck listening to the show on her phone as I'm on here on my my little office space. I can hear her giggling in the background. So yeah, it should be an interesting night. All right, guys, on to the next. It's pretty cool so far, right? October 7th. I'm excited to have him. Okay, here we go. I'm also going to have... Here we go. And again, I hope I pronounced his last name correctly. I'm going to have writer Andre Tapalaja. He's based in the United Kingdom, the UK. it's probably going to be a pre-recorded podcast interview because it would be like past 1 in the morning over there if I did my time zone with his interview, and I feel really bad keeping him up past 2 o'clock in the morning. So it won't be a live interview, but I'll be playing the interview on a date that I will announce eventually. But what's really great is he is got a huge following over there in the UK. He's got over 12,000 followers on his blog and magazine that he called The History of Yesterdays. And he basically concentrates on the enigmas of history. And his writings are really, really interesting. And when I saw what he wrote about, I said, that fits my show. I got to get this guy on my show, because when you see the stuff he writes about, it's like Strange Oddities podcast all the way. We're going to talk about the mysterious life and death of Mozart. Did anybody watch the movie Amadeus? My wife loves that movie. I've seen it a few times, of course, watching it with her quite a few times. It's a great movie. It's very interesting how they portrayed Mozart. It was pretty accurate as far as how his life was. And there was a lot of stuff when I did research on Mozart. What I learned is how terrible they treated Mozart. He was such a wonderful composer. His music is wonderful, and it inspires a lot of musicians and a lot of other composers. And he was ahead of his time, and he died suddenly from an abrupt illness, and the illness was unknown. And what was interesting is how they treated him when he died. They just like tossed his body in a mass full of other people. They didn't give him a proper funeral, and considering his background and his celebrity status, the way they treated him it was horrible. And when I read about like some of the mysterious things that went on right before his death, when he wrote, if I say it correctly, Requiem was, I think, one of the last pieces of material he wrote and composed right before he died. And he actually stated he wanted that piece to be buried with him. That was his request. And they never followed his request. And they never put Requiem in his casket when they buried him. They never did that. So that's how it got published. So somebody else published his work without his permission, and they threw it in his grave they didn't throw it in the grave with him as he requested. And I thought that was like, wow. I'm like, I couldn't believe it. It was just terrible. I mean, the way to treat Mozart like that. Yeah, it was a great movie. You guys got to watch Amadeus. It's a great movie. The reason why he laughs a lot in the movie, I don't know if they explain it in the movie or not, but he has Tourette's, and that's why he has this like weird laugh, and he's constantly laughing. And every time he talks, he just like throws in a laugh or whatever, and that just wasn't his personality. That was because he had Tourette's syndrome, and I'm not sure if that was publicly known. It is now, but that's why he acted and behaved the way he did. So I don't know if you guys knew that about Mozart, but we'll be talking about that with Mr. Andre Tapalaja from England, from the UK. I don't have an official date yet when I'm going to air that interview. I'm working on scheduling this interview with Andre, hopefully on a weekend, and it's going to be pre-recorded, but I will air it for you guys eventually. So I'm excited about that. So again, this is one of those like thinking outside the box topics. Who would have thought that we'd have a topic of Mozart on the Strange Oddities podcast? So yeah, he was a genius. No, my wife is absolutely 100% dead on with that. He was. And considering, what he went through, and that he had Tourette's, and all these other things he had going on medically with him, that he could still come up with those masterpieces of what he composed. And just amazing. I have even more respect for Mozart's work, even like all these years later. So I admired him when I was younger, and I know a lot of people probably admire him as a composer. But when you learn about this stuff about him, I think it'll give you a lot more respect of who he was. Yeah, he was amazing. Yep. So, all right. On to the next. Here we go. What do we got here? We got Andre. We got him out of the way. Um, all right. Another guest is author Marie Jones. She is a really fascinating author, also into the paranormal, but the stuff that she writes about, she gives it a little scientific kick, which is cool. This book I was really intrigued with. This book is from the future. They talk about a journey. The book is about portals, the theory of relativity, wormholes, and the possibility of time travel. I believe they make references to Albert Einstein and some of his theories, and I can't wait to have her on. I'm also going to be scheduling her co-writer, because she writes a lot of books with this gentleman, Larry Flaxman, and some of the books they write are just like really, really cool. I don't have some of these books, but I plan on getting these books because they look really cool to read. They probably like blow your mind. Some of the other books that they've written together, I'm going to show you in a second. Here we go. Exploring the Hidden Infrastructures of Reality, a book called The Grid. Again, co-wrote with Mr. Larry Flaxman. Again, another intriguing book. She also wrote Demons, the Devil, and the Fallen Angels, that they also co-wrote. I might even ask her if they both want to come on at the same time, which I think would be great to get both their perspectives on the books they wrote together. I'm going to hit him up eventually, but if I could get them on at the same time, I think that'll be great. They give both of their opinions about the things they both wrote about together. She's also been on Ancient Aliens on the History Channel. Can I just say, the History Channel has been very kind to Strange Oddities podcasts, because the people that I follow are mostly on the History Channel. I love the History Channel, and when I reach out to these people, I'm just like, I feel like a kid in a cookie jar, because I watch these shows all the time. So, I gotta try to keep my fan attitude in check when I have these on as guests, because I have to be professional. But I can't help it, because I'm excited, because I'm a fan of watching them on these shows all the time. And you gotta watch the History Channel, because their shows are really awesome. So can't wait to have Marie Jones and Larry Flaxman on the show. I will announce the date. Right now we're at the beginning stages of scheduling them, and that takes time, because they're very busy, obviously, with being on TV a lot and writing, and so it's really hard sometimes corresponding quickly. So I'm just waiting to kind of get a date out there, and once I have a date, that'll be announced. So exciting for that. Guys, still with me? Audio still good? How's the audio, guys? Is everything still kosher? The video look okay? I hope everything sounds better. Just going with the punches here. So what do you guys think so far? Cool guest list, right? I have something even bigger to announce. That's only a small portion of what I have to give you guys. Who here has not watched the movie Titanic? The Titanic was, what happened to the ship was a tragedy, another dark day, in the world. All right, good. Thank you for the feedback. Appreciate it. Everybody says sounds good. So If you watch the movie Titanic, it wasn't that far from the truth as far as factual information, even though it was filmed by James Cameron. And even though big stars like Leonardo DiCaprio and the actress that played Rose, a couple other big names in the movie, Kathy Bates played Molly Brown. Molly Brown was a real person. They called her the unsinkable Molly Brown because she was a survivor. And, you know, she actually, I was very impressed with what Molly Brown did after the events of the Titanic tragedy. She actually ran for a political position, and she was one of the first ladies. Um, so she was one of the first ladies that ever ran for a political position around that time period. And, you know, I thought that was really, really interesting because back in the day, women, especially during that time period, you know, they weren't seen as political. You know, mostly a lot of the men went for a political position, you know, of that kind of position. And, you know, they have the Molly Brown House Museum in Denver, Colorado. I was reaching out to my friend Leanna because I said it would be really cool if I could find a descendant of a survivor from the Titanic to discuss, you know, the life events of people that survived the Titanic, because there weren't many, but there were a few that did survive. The last person just recently died that was actually still living. That was a survivor of the Titanic. Died at 94 years old. Um, so, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and put up another visual here. I've been posting it all over my Facebook page if you haven't seen already. My big news is I'm going to be doing a 2-hour special podcast on the Titanic because I'm really interested in the Titanic's history, the type of ship it was, the architecture inside the ship was just amazing, the workmanship. You know, the architecture inside was just it was all handcrafted. It was just amazing looking. The art that they had all over the ship, it was just spectacular looking. There aren't many pictures before it sank. They're very rare to come across, but when I did my research, I found some photos of some of the inside of the ship, and I was just like, wow. But the Titanic, not only was it a special ship because of the size, the mass of the ship, and they were trying to break records by going to their destination in a very short period of time, in a very fast speed. They wanted to make headline news that, you know, they could bring in some revenue to make up for the ship and the cost of the ship. But it was the people that were on the ship that made it even more interesting, because you had big names and very rich people on board that ship that went down with the ship. You had John Jacobs Astor, who was a billionaire. He had a lot of money. And you had the Guggenheims. They were on the ship. And, you know, you had the Molly Browns. Again, her background is just amazing. Anyway, I'm going to put up my next visual here for the Titanic episode. Let me get this down. Here we go. Put that up first. That's the Titanic in black and white. That's actually a real picture before it went down. Like I said, there aren't many, but you'll find a few. And here we go. There I am. All right, getting used to this new platform too. I'm using a platform called Restream. I like it. I'm not using StreamYard anymore. And Restream, hopefully I won't sound like aliens when I actually do my show. Hopefully that won't happen. So here's my my biggest guest list, if you didn't think the others were big, these are even bigger. In November, we're hoping for November, only because of Helen's situation right now. But we're gonna have in 2 hours. We're gonna have two guests. In the first hour, I'm gonna have the great granddaughter, a descendant of the unsinkable Molly Brown, Helen Benziger, and she's an incredible lady. She does public speaking about her relative that survived the Titanic and her life after. So she's pretty much devoted her whole life and her life around the unsinkable Molly Brown. Again, there's a museum in Denver, Colorado that's devoted to Molly Brown. If you're ever in the area, I suggest you check it out. They have some really cool information all about Molly Brown. They have a lot of a big biography about her on there. I won't really get into that too much because there's just so much about her. I gave you a little brief synopsis of her background. That's just like a little bit. So I just don't want to ruin all of it. We're going to talk about most of it on the show. And then I'm excited to also have Titanic historian Craig Sopin. Craig has also been on the History Channel on the new show History's Greatest Mysteries with Lawrence Fishburne. He hosts the show and narrates the show. It's really cool. They just recently did an episode on the missing Flight 19 that disappeared into the Bermuda Triangle. That was a cool episode and a lot of information that was interesting. The investigation they did scientifically on a boat and everything. It was really cool. Really good show. I like it. So Craig was on there, not on the Bermuda Triangle episode, but on a different episode about the Titanic, and he gave a lot of great information about it. He's part of what they call the Titanic International Society, which is a whole bunch of people who is an organization that focuses on Titanic memorabilia and preserving artifacts, pictures, and documents, and all that good stuff from the Titanic. In this organization, they preserve all that stuff, and he's one of the members of the International Titanic Society, which I think is pretty cool. I think that's really honorable to be part of with such a tragedy event with the Titanic. And again, like, I'm so humbled to have an actual descendant of a survivor from the Titanic. Her great grandmother, the unsinkable Molly Brown, was one of the survivors, and she devoted her whole life around her. And I can't wait to have Helen and Craig on to do this spectacular 2-hour Titanic special. I'm excited. It's going to be a great show. I hope you guys tune in for that night. It's going to be 2 hours, so I hope you can spare 2 hours. It's going to be worth it. Trust me. It's going to be a great night. It's going to be in November. I'm hoping the first week of November. It really depends on what's going on with Helen. So as long as things go as planned and everything turns out good, I believe the date that we're targeting is November 4th. So I really, really, I can't wait for this night. Don't forget Mr. Lovejoy. Yeah, if you guys seen the Titanic, Mr. Lovejoy was the hell is the guy's name? What's the guy's name that was Rose's husband, fiance? The guy that was obsessed with her. He was abusive, and he gave her that big jewel as a gift because he really did care about her, but he was an asshole. And he pretty much abused the hell out of her, and yeah, he had this right hand man of his that followed him everywhere. I don't know if he was like a bodyguard of sorts, but his name was Mr. Lovejoy, which I thought was kind of funny last name. But regardless, I'm excited to have the 2-hour Titanic special on the Strange Oddities podcast, the beginning of November. What a way to kick off November before Thanksgiving with this, and I can't wait. I really can't wait. I'm parched, so I gotta have a little something. So are you guys excited for the return of Strange Oddities podcast? Because I know I am. If you're not excited, I'm going to hit you. It's a great show, guys. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. It airs live Thursday nights. I'm going to make it for 8 p.m. Eastern time. It's only going to be an hour, hour and a half kind of show. It depends on the guests, and how the conversation goes. That's the great thing about producing my own show is I get to control how much time there is for the show. A lot of shows have producers and they're ran by network and they control and oversee how much time you have for a podcast. And I don't want to be bound to that. I like having my own authority over my show and how long it is and what kind of guests I want on the show. And I'm excited to be back. I don't know if you guys, missed the show, if you guys missed me. I've been kind of low key. I hate the drama on Facebook. I made a major change on my Facebook page, and I just wanted to, kind of refresh myself. I needed to rejuvenate and slowly find my passion again for the podcast before I started it back up. And I'm excited. I can't wait. I hope you guys all tune in. You guys spread the love. Spread the wealth, put it out there for me. I have over 200 subscribers, which is great, in only 40 episodes. On YouTube, I have thousands of views on YouTube already in just under 40 episodes. That's hardly unheard of. And that's because of how much I love the show and how much I put it out there and how much hard work I do for the podcast. I do it because I love it, because I think the guests that are on the show are great. I think they're fun. It's different, and it's not the same thing every week. And I think that's great. So I love all you guys that give me the support. The support you give me is awesome. When you do subscribe and you share, I love when you guys share my stuff. I really do appreciate it. Debbie LaBelle said she had a boss named Lovejoy. Oh boy, I can see where that's gonna go. That's crazy. That's funny. So guys, if you have feedback for the show, if you have some suggestions, I welcome criticism. As you guys see, I'm open to communication with anybody. My Facebook page is private, but if you want to follow my public Facebook page, I have a public Facebook page, and that's Matthew J. Haas. Or you can follow the Strange Oddities podcast Facebook page, and you can also get me through there. You can also follow all the information on YouTube, and I'm going to try to do more live feeds and work out all the issues when I can doing these live feeds every now and then. I'm going to make upcoming guest announcements and, let everybody know in advance what's going on with the show. So you guys would be like, oh yeah, I want to listen. So yeah, all right, guys, want to wish everybody well. Never forget 9/11. Never. Okay, their lives didn't go in vain, and God bless all you guys, all the men and women who serve our country. Can't believe it's been 20 years, and watching all that all over again on the news, brought a lot of emotions on today. So trying to keep my emotions in check. All right, guys. Thanks for those who participated in tonight's feed. Till the next one, I'll make the next announcement. And thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. So I'm going to end it here. You guys have all a good night.